A hell of a lot of waste. Chances are you're going to run out at the end. You're going to have loads of bits of chunks of waste left over. So obviously your first start off point, you will measure the middle of the room from the top, put it mark at the centre, from the top mark it here. Whenever I put a mark, I will put a little mark, okay, with a circle around it. It's important to put that circle round, because you put the little mark on, you start look up and talk to Gary Haig and then you can't find your mark. So just putting that little circle round it really helps you reference it and give you that clear point of where you're going to start off from. Also, whenever you're drawing lines for your LVT, you want to be using a biro. A biro will give you the same consistency line over a distance. You start with a pencil, it's going to start thin, it's going to get thicker, you're losing accuracy. A biro is definitely the way to go. Now, if you were to start on your centre line and it gives you that little cut either side, obviously you don't want that little cut. So now what you're going to do to eradicate that cut and make it bigger and use less waste, therefore have enough product to finish the job, is instead of starting on the centre like that, what you do is you start with the plank off half bond, okay? So you'll still get the same cut either side, it'll just be half a plank bigger. So instead of getting a little cut like that, you're going to get something like that, generate a lot less waste, okay? And therefore have enough to finish the job, and also cut that size at the edge looks a lot better than a little piddly cut like that, okay? The other really good gig that I like is when you're fitting a floor, what you don't want to do is get over to that corner or this corner back here, so you can see, and have a 4mm cut up against the wall, okay? It's the sort of thing you'll have on a Friday afternoon. It's a pain in the arse to cut in, it doesn't look great. Really simple way of eradicating that issue for happening is to do this. Get a plank on your either centre line or your half bond line, okay? Put it up to the wall. Put a mark on it here, okay? Then you're going to get your crossover laser that you should all have. If you haven't, I actually sell them, okay? Once you've got this point here, you'll get your laser, draw that line across, and that will tell you, because that line will meet up with that one, okay? That'll tell you where the wall is. So what I would do is draw that line in, all the way across with my laser, all the way across that way and that way. That's where a full plank will fall. So I now know not to start that side of the line. Because if I start 4mm this side of the line, I get the 4mm cut up there. Okay, so to eradicate that, we draw this line all the way across and never start on that line. Because you put the squiggle this side, you know you can start that side, look, because you've got a bit to cut in. But you don't ever start on the squiggle side, okay? And the same off this top wall here. Like there. Be that mark there. Again, you continue your line all the way across with your laser, okay? That line has got a squiggle that side. So I know never to start just that side of the line, because you get that tiny little cut. You don't want that tiny little cut. That line, them two lines, will reference you all the way across the job, where to start and where not to start. Like you say, you don't want little, tiny little cuts like that, okay? If you're in the adhesive already and you get there and you've got that little cut, you've got a bit of an issue to cut it in. However, if you dry fitting a floor, which I always would recommend, depending on the size of the room, if you dry fitting a floor and you do get that issue, because you're dry fitting it, you can always move the row up a bit and therefore get a better cut. Okay, quite a simple, common sense sort of thing, but a lot of fitters have that issue, and like I say, it's usually the end of the day, you get that horrible little cut in the corner. You don't want it. That's a really simple way of eradicating it, okay? Next thing that I want to go through with people is an exacto, one of my favourite tools. Very versatile tool, originally made for Cap and Cove, but thanks to Neil Andrew, I now use one of these, and now most of the industry does. So if we've got a cut, okay, we've got a cut and we've got that burr on the back, I always say to fitters who come on my course, don't sit in a customer's house and pull a knife towards your face. Okay, everyone does it in the industry. I'm probably rubbing people up the wrong way saying this, but doing that in a customer's house just doesn't look right at all. I would always recommend turn it upside down and use an exacto. Okay, that is quicker, it's more accurate, it's safer, it looks more professional. That's how I recommend people to do it. I know a lot of people don't use this method, but I always recommend it. Like you say, it's safer, it's quicker, it looks more professional. You want to look as professional as you can, especially when you look like me when you're working in someone's house, you know. When you get that burr off, you can then see it goes up absolutely bang on. Okay, really good way of doing it. So when you take the burr off the back of the product, you're going to hold the exacto more or less vertical and just tilt it in a little bit, okay? The blade the handle wants to be quite low to the floor, you don't want to be up here, alright? So just in, off vertical, just in like that. And now when you do this, you're not going to move your wrist back, you're going to keep your wrist solid and you're going to pull back just your elbow. That way you can keep this solid, you've got a lot more strength in your elbow than your wrist. We'll pull it back, like you say, just off vertical, just tilt it in a tiny little bit. I was going to get someone in to have a go at this. So we're going to go through with James from Flawless Flooring in Essex. So first I want you to just put the place across, cut a line. Okay. Sorry. Don't cut yourself, for God's sake. Another little thing when you're doing this, instead of just putting your hand on the product, whenever you're cutting an LVT, I always encourage people to have 2 points of contact on the product, because if you don't, sorry mate, the problem you have is this, okay? 2 points of contact, that ain't going nowhere, okay? You're then going to get a much more accurate cut. It's nothing worse than doing it cut, getting frustrated and you can start getting yourself into a bit of a situation, okay? Use 2 points of contact at all times when cutting your LVT. Also, I always encourage people to use a straight blade, not a concave blade. Yeah. So most people use a concave blade because that's what most people do. With a concave blade, they get thinner and they're quite long coming out, so therefore you get a lot of movement in the blade and you lose a lot of accuracy. I had a bloke in with me who was about 70. He's used a concave on LVT his whole career. I had to talk him into using the straight blade. After about 45 minutes he called me over. I was expecting to get told off and he said, "Paddy, I can't believe how much more accurate and neat my cuts are because I'm using a straight blade over a concave." When you use a concave blade, it doesn't open the product up, it will lip it up. Therefore,
yeah, you get the burr on the top.
You get that burr on the top and you can feel it. Whereas if you use a straight blade, the only way you'll get that burr with a straight blade is if you cut all the way through. Okay, you just want to score it a couple of times till you get through the wear layer. And then the other thing you want to do is, when you've cut your product, okay, what I do is I bend it on 2 points of contact at all times, okay, open it up a touch like that, tip of the blade, cut it at an angle like that, okay. So I've now got burr on my waist, the product's got no burr on, I haven't got to mess about with not doing that, I haven't got to mess about with my exacto, okay. So like I say, get your scoring and just got a bit of an angle and you get that cut in. So when you're doing it now, you're holding it at quite an angle like that, okay? You want to be more vertical. Yeah, much more vertical and just tilt it in a little bit. So get vertical, which is there, just a little bit in. Now keep your elbow solid, your wrist solid and move your elbow back. Put your hand close to the product. Can take a bit of getting used to this, but trust me, it is the I think it's the quickest, the most accurate and the most professional way of doing it. Yeah. And then if you want to put the bevel back on the top of the product, which again is really important, if you've got a beveled edge and an unbeveled edge, okay, that is going to be a dirt trap. and within a couple of months Mrs Smith's going to ring you up because she can't get that dirt line around the edge of the room. All you've got to do is put that micro bevel back on, okay? The dirt can come out. Also, if you've got a lot of natural sunlight coming in and you've got an unbeveled edge and a beveled edge, you can see it a mile off, it doesn't look great, okay? You want your LVT floor that's going to be down for 20, 30 years to look amazing. Putting a bevel on is part of amazing, okay? There's loads of little factors into creating a good floor. You take one out, your floor's coming down. These little things really do make a difference in the finish of your floor. Now you've cut it, to put a bevel back on the product, always put your knife away on a job, okay? Don't leave it on the floor. I spoke to a fitter the other week. One of his lads had left a knife on the floor in a mental hospital, and he lost a massive contract, okay? Same thing can happen if you're working at a customer's house. A little 2-year-old kid comes in, oh, what's this? Grabs it, cuts his fingers open, you know. Always put your knife away. If you're leaving site or going in the van, get all your stuff out. Imagine if you're working at your own home, you've got little kids around, dogs as well, cats, old people. Now we've got the cut. So again, to get this bevel on the top, what we're going to do is, to get the burr off, we held it more or less vertical, okay? To put the bevel on, we're going to hold it more or less flat. Depends on what product you're using, okay? Some have got a bigger, more prominent bevel than others.
Yeah, the wear layer as well, like this.
So the issue you've had here, what he's done here is he's come down at too much of an angle, okay? Because we've probably got, what, 0.5 mil of a wear layer, we've only got 0.5 mil to go in. So therefore, the deeper we are, we're going to go through that 0.5 mil, and therefore we're going to get that white line from the photograph, okay? So what we need to be doing to put the bevel back on is holding it more or less flat, like that. Again, hold that down. Finger at the side of your exacto. Keep your wrist absolutely solid and just pull your elbow back. Okay, a little nicks like that, come on. And that just gives you that nice little bevel. Put it again, you can have a go. Thank you.
That's all right.
I am invoicing for a course though.
I wouldn't go on one. And always wear your knee pads.
Yes.
Thanks for the knee pads.
Yeah. Do you want some?
No, it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, knee pads, lads. A lot of fitters coming to me with internal knee pads that go in your trousers, okay? Your knees are joints that are designed for moving, not carrying your body weight. Therefore, you need to be wearing correct knee pads that give you enough support. I know a lot of people in the industry wear Fento knee pads. A lot of people are now wearing the Pro knees from America. I am actually waiting for some. I was hoping they'd be here today, but they're not. These knee pads are that good. You can drop onto that. That's the sort of support you need on your knees. If I was to do that without these on, I'd be in tears now. Like I say, to get that and not feel a thing, I know I'm getting the right support on my knees. Okay. Can you do something like that? Put it down and stand on it. You only get one set of knees. You want to look after them, because if your knees are knackered, you ain't going out earning any money, and you'll have to open up a training centre, and I won't appreciate that. You happy with that, yeah?
Yeah.
So like you say, your burr, you take off, holding the blade more or less vertical, you tilt it in a tiny little bit. Now another thing with this is, if you do that all the time, the bottom of your exacto is going to go plump in no time, and then you're going to chuck it away and waste all that blade. Don't do that. You just raise it up, okay, on another piece of product. Now we're using a different part of the blade. We're utilising the blade. That bit runs out, we just raise it up too. Put another one underneath. And every time you raise it up, it's like using a brand new blade, because technically you're using a bit that hasn't been perfected. I love exactos. They're so but they are such a good tool to have. They're relatively cheap as well. Blades are like £1 each. It's a no-brainer. When it comes to rebeveling product, what a lot of people will do is just put one down and cut it. Okay. If you've got numerous products to rebevel, I will line them up like that. Tilt them a bit, okay? Put them down. Got them there. And then I'm going to come down like this. Now, my eye's not going to come off this top line. I'm not going to follow my eye down, because if I've got numerous bits, I'm going to lose where I am. So I always keep my eye around here and just look at the next one, therefore I know what to reference when I'm cutting next. So quick, yeah, so accurate. Customers love stuff like this. Adding that detail to your floor is really important.
Need mark anymore?
No, you're good. I wasn't going to show these, but
Go on.
I really appreciate all the effort that everyone has made to come today, and ultimately running the training centre, I do actually want to try and improve the flooring industry and the fitters that come in, and like I say, I really appreciate everyone coming today, so I'm going to show you this little gig. So when you come to scribing your LVT to the wall, okay, a lot of people put that piece there and they cut that and they swap it over. Thing is, we need all of this product, so as soon as we put a knife mark in it, it's short, it's going to be short to the wall, it's not going to be bang on, okay? Showed someone this very simple thing before. This was the old bloke, the 70-year-old bloke, and he said, wow, Paddy, that's worth the cost of the course alone, okay? Really simple. This piece, you want it to fit up there, okay? We're not just going to cut it here, because we need all that product. We're going to put that up to there. We're going to come the other side of the line, we're going to cut it there, okay? That is how you get the perfect cut to the wall. That is how you're going to get your perfect cut to the wall. Also, when you cut it again, I will bend it, just touch it open a little bit. Tip of the blade. Open it up, tip of the blade again, open it up again, tip of the blade again. Yeah. Then it will just go up to the wall like it grew there. Okay. Yeah, so just cut the other side of the line. Really simple, but yeah, if you want that perfect cut and that close-up picture, that's what you need to be doing. Okay, just cut the other side of the line. I wasn't going to show you that today, but I am really overwhelmed by how many people have come today, and I thought, you know what, you can have that. It's fine.